Jung Jihun's face contorts in pain as he questions if Yena is his daughter. Lee Jung-ho looks at him, noticing the desperation in his eyes, but wonders who made him so desperate and why he's so affected. Her thoughts swirl for a moment before she simply affirms his question, confirming what he fears. 7 years ago, Lee Jung-ho is a 22-year-old university student still in her third year. She finds out that she is pregnant. The news overwhelms her, and she feels a surge of misery. She can't remember much about the previous day, especially the drinking session she had. As she tries to piece together the fragmented memories, she grows more anxious. She wonders what she should say to Jung Jihun. Would he take her to the hospital, or would he get angry? The fear overwhelms her. She checks the time and with a deep breath steps outside, her heart racing. It's then that she spots Jung Jihun. He is 26 years old now, in his 4th year at university. He is her boyfriend, and they've been together for 6 months. Their relationship began 8 months ago, during a fateful encounter in Australia while she was on a working holiday visa. It had been a tough time for her. She had been crying in front of a Korean grocery store, hungry and unable to buy food. Jung Jihun, without a second thought, lent her money for a meal when she told him she was starving. That simple act of kindness is what started everything. Since then, he has been nothing short of perfect. Caring, kind, and reliable, and he continues to show her those qualities even now. Seeing her, Jung Jihun immediately offers his coat to Lee Jung-ho. He notices she looks unwell, and when she mentions she won't eat, he reaches out to feel her temperature. Concerned, he decides to take her back to her place. As they walk, Lee Jung-ho wants him to accompany her inside, but Jung Jihun declines. Just then, her neighbor, Sunbae, greets her, casually remarking on how she hasn't contacted him in a month, while his hand brushes her hair lightly. Surprised by his touch, Lee Jung-ho responds that she has been busy, and Sunbae, with a slight grin, teases her about whether her busyness involved going on dates. He tells her to enjoy her date and walks away. Jung Jihun watches the interaction closely and asks about Sunbae. Lee Jung-ho explains that he's from the same department as her. Jung Jihun, seemingly softer now, says they should go up together. She's puzzled by his change of heart, but feeling it's better for her, decides this is the moment to tell him what's on her mind. Unsure of how to begin, she worries he might misunderstand her intentions. As they enter her home, Jung Jihun hugs her from behind, his voice soft as he says sweet words to her. He notes that it's cold and promises to warm her up. In that intimate moment, they share a kiss. Still hesitant, Lee Jung-ho pulls back slightly and asks him to wait. She then finally reveals that she has something important to tell him. Jung Jihun encourages her to go ahead and speak her mind. She hesitates for a moment before admitting that she is hungry. He smiles at her, suggesting that they cook something together. After a brief discussion, they settle on making kimchi pancakes. As he works his magic in the kitchen, she watches him with admiration. She's amazed at his cooking skills and, with a soft laugh, admits that she's always captivated by him, no matter how many times she watches him cook. They sit down to eat together, the warm, comforting meal filling the quiet space between them. A few minutes later, he asks how she's feeling. She tells him she's all right, but in her mind, she knows she's been fine all along. She decides that she will tell him everything once everything is cleared up. However, before she can gather the courage, he suddenly tells her he'll be leaving. He walks over to the sink to put away his plate, but as he does, his expression immediately shifts. She, grateful for the coat, thanks him. But when he glances down, his eyes fall on the pregnancy test strip lying on the counter, and his gaze locks onto it, his expression changing in an instant. She's surprised to see it with him, but says nothing as she gently takes it and slips it into the drawer. He reassures her not to worry about it and suggests they both calm down first. With that, he picks up his coat and says he'll call her later so they can talk properly. Later that evening, the phone rings and she answers. He apologizes and asks if she was asleep. She says she wasn't. Then he asks if she left a tangerine in his coat pocket. She tells him to eat it, and he thanks her. After a brief pause, he suggests they go to the hospital together. She'll need to get the maternity notebook. His words stir something in her, and her emotions rise. She admits she thought he would hate this, but he gently questions why he would. Then he apologizes again. Unbeknownst to her, he's holding an engagement ring. He had intended to propose. She lays back on the bed, content and smiling, while on the other end, he softly says her name. He wants to tell her he loves her, but holds back. Instead, he wishes her a good night. He resolves to propose the next day. It may seem sudden, but he wants the moment to be beautiful. He admits to himself that it all began with a mistake, but now that they've reached this point, he wants to marry her as soon as possible. He makes a quiet vow not to ruin her dreams, to become a better person for her. He loves her. The next morning, while drying his hair, he glances through her messages. As he dresses, he decides to leave by 2 p.m., planning to stop by the florist beforehand. While on a call with his mother, he admits he's been a bit busy. She scolds him for showing up the previous day without a word and complains that he's always working. Then she shares that she had returned home, played a few rounds of Go with his father, and had dinner. He listens, then asks if everything is okay. She says it is, but casually mentions that someone threw an egg at his brother's car a few days ago. There are strange people in the world, she adds, so he should be careful. He promises not to worry her and says he'll come by to pick up the car soon. Before ending the call, he tells her he has someone he wants to introduce. As he steps out, thoughts of Jung-Oh fill his mind. He wonders how beautiful their child would be if they resemble her. He imagines them all together, walking, laughing, playing, building a life. He checks his wristwatch. He's not late. But as he walks, a car suddenly speeds toward him, headlights flashing directly into his eyes. He raises a hand to shield himself from the blinding light. The impact is swift. The car strikes him and he collapses to the ground. A man approaches and asks if he has ever heard a certain name. The words don't register. The man gets back into the car and drives off. Lying there, his thoughts drift to Jung-Oh. He wants to go to her. He wonders if she will cry, if she'll cry a lot. He had wanted to treat her well, to live a long, happy life with her. Now, he worries. Will she give up their child because of him? It will be hard to raise the baby alone. He confesses in his heart that he loves her. A wave of regret watches over him, because he never got the chance to say it. 3 days later, Jung Jihun lies in surgery, his life hanging in the balance. His mother sobs softly, calling his name, her voice trembling with fear and sorrow. Moments later, 2 officers from the Yongsan police walk in. After confirming that she is the victim's mother, they deliver the news. The building's CCTV had malfunctioned, and there were no clues left behind. However, they were able to retrieve the criminal's car license plate from a vehicle's black box. The hit-and-run accident was recorded, and with that, they had secured the suspect's identity. They inform her that the suspect's name is Kim Jin-gu, and then ask if she might know him. Before she can respond, a girl interrupts the conversation. She asks if they are detectives and then reveals that she is a witness to the hit-and-run case. She explains that she's moving into the office tel today and that she was in the parking lot when the incident occurred. Afterward, she walks up to Jung Jihun's mother, introduces herself as Eunbi, Jihun's friend, and Eun-Yup's sister. She mentions that she studied abroad in the US, then transferred to Jihun's university, and has just returned today. His mother gets to know her better, and they share a warm hug. Eunbi suggests that she should return home, promising to come back and wait at the hospital to update her once the surgery is finished. Later, Eunbi describes the criminal to the officers, and 2 police officers bring in a man. She affirms that he is the criminal, but the man denies it. An officer informs Jihun's mother that the man has been caught. He hands her some of her son's devices, and she takes them. Sitting beside her son in the hospital bed, Jung Jihun's mother gently takes his thumb and uses it to unlock his phone. As she scrolls through his messages, she comes across a text from Jung-Oh, expressing concern about not being able to reach Jihun. Her response, typed out in a moment of tension, tells Jung-Oh not to contact him anymore. A sense of unease washes over her as she reads it again. She thinks about it for a while in her room, still unsettled by the message, especially after 3 days. She wonders if it was actually Jihun who replied to Jung-Ho's message. Something feels off, though. Jung Jihun isn't the type to react like that. Back at home, Jihun's mother recalls his words about having someone he wanted to introduce to her. As she stares at a photo of her son and Jung-Ho together, a realization dawns on her. The girl in the photo is not from a normal family. She is the daughter of a single mother. She squeezes the photo tightly and walks towards the door, hearing a knock. She opens it, and Jung-Ho stands there, asking if this is Jihun's house. She confirms that she is his mother and invites her inside. As she enters, Jihun's mother reflects that it's obvious the girl grew up without a father. She takes off her shoes, a sign of respect she likely learned from her mother. Jung-Ho greets her politely, but Jihun's mother questions why she was trying to open the door's lock. The girl responds that her son had told her the password before, but the woman informs her that the password has been changed. She then complains about her persistence in trying to open the door, despite it not working. She apologizes, but then asks if something has happened to Jihun. Jihun's mother coldly asks how much she has bothered her son. She tells the girl not to contact him again if she understands. She pleads, asking if she could call him just one more time. But his mother sharply asks why she's calling her mother and tells her to leave while she is still being nice. She adds that she should never bother her son again. It's been 2 weeks since Jung Jihun was admitted to the hospital, and his mother is growing more and more anxious. She wonders why her son hasn't woken up yet, especially since the surgery went well. As she sits by his bedside, Yoonbi walks in, and Jihun's mother acknowledges her presence. She suggests that she take a rest to avoid exhaustion and recommends getting some nutrients injected. However, his mother insists that she is truly fine. Yoonbi smiles softly, telling her that she believes her son will wake up today, and when he does, he will search for her. She encourages his mother to meet him with a bright face. His mother, observing how sharp she is, realizes that the girl must have come from a well-educated family. She thinks her son should meet someone like her. She thanks her for all the care, saying that she will be in her hands, and she wishes her a safe trip home. Later, alone in the room, Yoonbi stares at Jihun's handsome face, deep in thought. She wonders how he could be so handsome and even contemplates kissing him, knowing he won't be aware of it. Just as she's lost in her thoughts, the door opens and Park Sung-gyu walks in. She's startled, and goosebumps rise on her skin. He notices her surprise and remarks that he's seeing her too often. Park Sung-gyu is a longtime friend of Jihun's from high school and college, as well as his military senior, and he's someone Eunbi's brother has never gotten along with, and she doesn't like him either. She asks him why he's there, and he casually replies that he's come to see his friend. Then, he adds something strange. Jihun's accident happened at 1:10 p.m., but the report came in at 1:30 p.m. The person who reported it was a man, yet Eunbi, a witness, hadn't reported it right away. She explains that her phone was out of battery, but once it was charged, she immediately reported the incident. Park, still skeptical, suggests that this wouldn't have stopped her from rushing to the security office. At that moment, Jihun stirs, and she immediately calls out to him, noticing that he's awake. As he removes the device from his face, Park asks if he can see and recognize him. Jihun, still confused, asks who he is. Surprised, he explains who he is and jokes that Jihun must be pretending not to remember him. But Jihun, looking bewildered, asks if Park went to the military. Shortly after, Jihun's mother rushes into the room. She immediately questions if her son is okay and whether he can talk. Standing by the door, she recalls the doctor's words. The doctor had told her that it seemed her son had lost all his memories from the past 3 years and that his recovery should be the top priority. The doctor had also advised her to avoid stressing him out as much as possible. Jihun's mother turns to Eunbi, informing her of everything the doctor had said. She expresses her fear that her son may never regain his memories. Eunbi, surprised by the news, asks if that means Jihun has forgotten her as well. She adds that he had been kind and sweet to her, even suggesting they make their relationship official once they return to Korea. But now it seems like he won't even remember that. Jihun's mother reassures her, telling her that the two of them can always start over again. When Jihun wakes up, his mother asks if he has seen Eunbi. She explains that she came to visit him every day while he was unconscious. Jihun, confused, asks if she's Yunyap's sister, and she affirms. His mother then repeats what the girl had said earlier, but Jihun bluntly states that she isn't his type. She suggests that it might just have been small talk, then adds that she is a very kind and nice girl. Shortly afterward, Jihun grabs his head in discomfort. His mother asks what's wrong, and he tells her he's fine, but he just feels like he's forgotten something very important to him. Meanwhile, outside, Jung-Oh watches a pregnant woman and her husband. She stares at them for a while, and then sadly walks home. Once home, she receives a call from Jihun. His voice on the other end reassures her that it is truly him. He then questions why she didn't contact him sooner. After some back and forth, he warns her not to worry, but then tells her not to reach out to him again, or there will be consequences before abruptly ending the call. She's left in disbelief, thinking this can't be real. It must be a joke. She tries calling back, but the number is no longer reachable. As time passes, Lee Jung-ho finds herself reflecting deeply. She notes that it's now their child's first birthday, and she feels a sense of pride as she watches her daughter grow. The little one has started calling her Mama, and every so often, she even says Dada, though she is unsure where her daughter learned those words. Her daughter has already learned how to run and is now attending daycare. The following year, she starts first grade, and Jung-ho is filled with pride as she watches her grow and thrive. She is a beautiful child, not just in appearance, but with a lovely personality and many friends. Bright, energetic, and full of potential, Yena doesn't seem to lack anything, even though she doesn't have a father in her life. Jung-ho has long since stopped waiting for Jihun to reach out to her, and she has come to accept that reality. One day, while walking with her daughter, Yena points to a toy machine and asks why it's there. Her mom knows her well enough by now to realize that she isn't asking out of curiosity, but because she wants a toy from it. Yena admits it, her eyes shining with hope, and with a soft smile, her mom gives her the coins she needs to get a toy. The small gesture feels comforting. A mother's love wrapped up in something as simple as coins for a toy. Now, at 29 years old, Lee Jung-ho no longer waits for Jung Jihun to contact her. The thoughts drift through her mind, and she realizes something that had always been there but that she had never fully acknowledged. Jihun had never once told her that he loved her. She reflects on that fact and wonders if it ever truly mattered. As she continues to ponder, she concludes that she is all right with it now, because she has Yena, her daughter, with her. She doesn't need anything else. Afterwards, both Lee Jung-ho and her daughter Yena head to see her mother, who warmly serves them a meal. As they sit together at the table, Yena, eager to play with her toy, asks her mom if she can. However, her mom gently tells her to focus on her food. Grandma, noticing the toy in her hands, offers to feed her, but her mom insists that she should eat on her own. The conversation continues as they finish eating, and afterward, Jung-ho tells her mom that it's time to go inside quickly because she needs to get ready for work the next day. Her mom, puzzled, asks her why she needs to get ready, and she explains that it's her first day at a new job after switching companies. Her mom, trying to ease her nerves, suggests that she should just lighten up and go get some rest, which Jung-ho takes to heart. The next morning, Jung-ho heads out of the house, reminding her mother to take care. As she's on her way, she calls her senior on the phone, letting them know she's on her way. Her senior informs her that they're heading to Gangnam. Jung-ho is a little surprised, asking if they're not going to Ivory Planning, and she is informed that the company has been sold to Max Planning. She's told that the official announcement was made yesterday, and her senior asks if she didn't see the article about it. Jung-ho, silent, says nothing in response. She reflects on how quickly everything had happened and the fact that she was immediately transferred to Max Planning without even needing to rewrite her employment contract. It all feels a little confusing to her, but she reassures herself that she'll get used to it soon enough. She admits that it's much better for her as an assistant, and since she was likely going to be moving to this company sooner or later, there's really no need to be scared. She takes a deep breath, preparing herself for what lies ahead. Lee Jung-Ho arrives at Max Planning and stands before the notice screen, contemplating her new job. Originally, she was supposed to work at Ivory Planning, but now here she is. She considers it a good thing, especially since it's a larger company and closer to home. Just as she's lost in her thoughts, a voice calls out to her. She turns to see a man who greets her warmly and introduces himself as Park Sung-gyu from the Human Resources Department. She returns his greeting, and he leads her to meet the boss, Seong Miran, the leader of the production team too. Miran introduces herself with a firm handshake and expresses her excitement about working with Lee Young-ho. She thinks that the woman seems nice, but Miran takes a closer look and notes that she must be confused. She admits she is, a little. Miran explains that there wasn't a copywriter on the team, which is why she requested additional manpower. After this, she introduces her to the team. Song Ki-hoon, the graphic designer, says hello to her, and director Park Young-kwang welcomes her as well. Then there's Go Yoon-ju, another graphic designer, who seems a bit uncomfortable but still says it's nice to meet her. Jung-ho responds with a polite, "I look forward to working with all of you." Miran then shows Jung-ho to her cubicle and adds that Song Ki-hoon will give her a tour of the company. As they walk, Jung-ho whispers to him, asking what's going on because the atmosphere seems tense. Ki-hoon responds quietly, saying that it's probably because director Jung Jihun is nearby, and asks if she hasn't seen him yet. Miran continues talking to Jung-ho, telling her that director Jihun is even scarier than the CEO. She explains that it's only been a week since he joined, and he's the son of the group's chairman. As Jung-ho glances toward the direction Miran is looking, she notices him immediately. Her heart skips a beat as she stares at him, realizing that he must be from another world. She takes a closer look, and her eyes widen in shock. She recognizes him instantly. It's him, the person she could never mistake for anyone else. It's Jung Jihun, the father of her daughter. Her body shivers as he begins walking toward her, his presence commanding and intense. Without a word, he grabs her arm and stares into her eyes. The world around them feels still as they stand locked in this unexpected moment. She had imagined more than once that someday their paths might cross again. Maybe by coincidence, maybe just once or twice. And in all those imagined moments, she had promised herself that no matter what, she wouldn't let herself get upset if she saw him. But standing here now, facing him, she realizes that it's much harder than she thought. Her emotions tremble within her, yet she keeps her composure. They both stand frozen, silently staring into each other's eyes. Miran, unaware of the storm swirling between them, approaches with a bright smile. She casually introduces her to him, completely oblivious to the history that lingers in their gaze. He, maintaining his calm demeanor, responds politely that it's a pleasure to meet her. Then, extending his hand, he formally introduces himself by name. Jung Jihun. Elsewhere, in a small but lively moment, a mother is struggling with her young son who doesn't want to attend his Go class. She tries reasoning with him, reminding him that he once showed interest and that she's already paid for the lessons. After some back-and-forth negotiation, they agree. If he attends class for 30 minutes, he'll get 1 hour of video game time later. Reluctantly, he agrees and heads inside, leaving his mother momentarily relieved. In the Go class, the boy sits sulking and sobbing quietly. Yena, now a confident and thoughtful little girl, notices him. She walks over and gently tells him to stop crying and to look at what she's doing. With her usual cheer, she invites him into a game, her presence disarming and natural. After a few moves, she casually introduces herself and asks for his name. He sniffles out a reply. Park Donin. She then asks if he goes to Oriole daycare. Curious, he wonders how she knows that. She smiles and says she saw his name on his backpack the previous day. For a second, he's stunned. She's been watching me? He thinks to himself, both confused and amazed. As the game continues and he slowly forgets about his earlier tears, he admits silently. He had never seen a girl like this in all his 6 years of life. Outside, his mom waits patiently, glancing at the time and wondering why he hasn't come out after 30 minutes. She assumes he's probably still inside, crying and refusing to play. But soon enough, he emerges from the building, beaming with joy and waving excitedly at his new friend. He runs over and throws his arms around her in a tight hug. Surprised by the sudden shift, she crouches to his level, asking what happened. He grins, explaining that he had a lot of fun inside. Curious, she asks what exactly made it so enjoyable, and he pauses, then suddenly asks if she had experienced love at first sight with his dad. Amused, she questions if he even understands what that means, but he simply recalls the face of the girl he just met, Yena, and says that he experienced it today. With a solemn nod, he promises that from now on, he'll try his best in Go classes. Back at the office, Director Jihun sits in his chair, visibly unsettled. For some reason, the new copywriter lingers in his thoughts. He tries to brush it off, but her face keeps returning to his mind, and he can't help but feel a strange unease whenever he thinks about her. He doesn't even know her name, yet she stirs something peculiar in him, something he finds rather uncomfortable. Miran soon walks in and hands him a list of PT applicants. He flips through it, then casually asks if the new hire underwent a physical examination before joining. She assures him that it's a standard requirement, so she must have. He frowns slightly, commenting that she looked like she was about to faint earlier, which makes him suspect she might be dealing with some health issue. Moran reflects silently that the assistant manager seemed fine as soon as he left, and with a playful tone suggests it might have just been nerves. After all, she reminds him, his presence can be quite overwhelming. He raises an eyebrow, wondering if she's trying to joke with him, then cuts through the teasing by instructing her to bring assistant manager Lee Jung-Ho to his office immediately. While Ki-hoon is guiding her through some work, Moran informs her that Director Jung has asked for her. She considers going with Lee Jung-Ho, but Moran insists that she will accompany her. Moran warns her to be cautious, as it's going to be intense. She wonders why the director is asking for her, especially after acting like they were complete strangers. Is he going to tell her to resign? They enter the office, and the director immediately asks if assistant manager Lee Jung-Ho is all right. She confirms, and then the director mentions that she looked disappointed when they met. He talks about her, noting that she isn't upset that this isn't the company she applied for because, in his view, this one is better. She wonders why he called her in just to say such strange things. The director then asks if she can do her job well. She affirms that she can, and he reveals that he didn't expect her to answer that way as a copywriter. She responds that she's different when she's working, and she will work hard. He acknowledges that he'll be looking at her work. Soon, Manager Park walks in, and the director addresses him formally, asking if he's heading home. He wants Park to act as usual, but he admits he isn't used to it yet. The director suggests moving him to the annex so he can adjust quickly, but he declines, saying that he got goosebumps from the suggestion. The director asks if his words are scary, and he confirms. He then asks if something is wrong, and the director mentions how manager Lee Jung-Ho's face turns pale when she sees him. He thinks for a moment, then asks the director to confirm that he thinks the lady is pretty. When the director doesn't respond, he notes in his mind that something is going on, which is why the director avoided the question. Then, he asks if the director would come to his house if he's free. The director questions why he would go there, and he explains that his mother, who is like a god to him, told him to invite him sometime. He adds that his mother wants to show him an ideal family to encourage him to get married soon. The director responds that he shouldn't care about her words, but that he should pretend to listen to his mom. With that, he tells Park that he'll leave first. On the way home, the director reflects on his life. He feels that he's only pretending to live, not bothered by losing 3 years of memories, and simply maintaining things the way they are without any effort. He considers it a boring existence. Once home, as he takes off his accessories, he recalls her face. He notes that he'd usually prefer a woman with long hair, then wonders if it's her name that's affecting him. He then realizes that he has a strange obsession with 12 o'clock, as her name keeps ringing in his head before he closes his eyes. Shortly after, he sees Lee Jung-Ho in his room. Wondering what's going on, he's startled when she suddenly jumps on him, and they kiss for a while. In shock, he opens his eyes and sees nothing. He admits to himself that he's losing his mind. On her way back home, she wonders why he was so grumpy and why he called her into his office just to talk about something like that. She concludes that he isn't the Jung Jihun she knew and thinks the previous version of him must have been a lie, though she convinces herself that it's fine. As she opens the door, her daughter immediately runs up to her, and they embrace each other in a hug. Grandma then asks if she isn't working overtime today, to which she replies that it's only her first day. She turns to her daughter, asking how her day went. Her daughter excitedly responds that she had fun and even made a new friend at school. Her mom, curious, asks if they are now best friends. The girl hesitates, admitting that they still don't know anything about Go yet, so her mom encourages her to teach them. Then she asks what the name of the new friend is. The girl, a little surprised, answers the question. Her mom then asks if the new friend is a boy, and the daughter affirms, adding that the boy's mother had come to the school yesterday and today, and she thinks the mother might come tomorrow too. Her mom, sensing something, questions her, asking if she's jealous of her friend Park Dobin. The daughter initially denies it, but then almost shyly admits that she's a little bit jealous. Her mom then holds her daughter even tighter, a mixture of emotions running through her as she reflects on her life. She thinks about how much easier things would be if her father were around and wonders whether he even realizes that she gave birth to his daughter. She wonders if he has many other women in his life and whether it's time for her to quit. The next morning, Jung Jihun sits at the dining table with his family. His mom asks if he's not feeling comfortable, to which he replies that he just didn't sleep well. However, he silently notes to himself that he can't tell them the real reason, that he fell off the sofa. His dad then advises him to keep his composure in front of his employees to avoid causing misunderstandings. He asks how the new job is going, and Jihun replies that it's all right. His mom then mentions that Eunbi is working at the company, but Jihun ignores this and asks about his brother instead. His father informs him that his brother has been called on a sudden business trip. After the conversation, Jihun stands, gazing at the bookshelf. He reflects on the strange feeling he experiences whenever he visits his parents' house. His childhood memories are clear, but he has no recollection of anything from 7 years ago, and the realization strikes him deeply. Shortly, his mother enters and questions what he's doing. He dismisses it, saying it's just some stuff, then asks about his father. She responds that he's already left for work. Jihun decides to leave for work as well, but before he goes, he asks his mother what happened during those 3 years of missing memories. She smiles and tells him that he joined the military, and that's all. She adds that there's no need to dwell on it since he doesn't remember anything, and Jihun affirms her words. His mom then brings up a red mark he had on his forehead, which made it easy to guess his thoughts just by looking at it. He acknowledges it, recalling that he always used bands to cover it up. She gently tells him that he can always talk to her if he has any troubles. Back at the company, Lee Jung-Oh walks in, feeling a little off because she couldn't sleep the previous night. As she walks in, she exchanges greetings with Ki-hoon. Ki-hoon, noticing her, asks if she would accompany him to the break room, where he plans to teach her how to use the coffee machines. She agrees, but before heading to the break room, she decides to take a moment to put things in order first. After a short while, someone calls her name, clearly surprised to see her. She responds by saying she is Eunbi, and Jung-Oh, recognizing her, comments that she remembers her. She then asks if Eunbi is also working here, and she answers that she is a copywriter as well as a manager. She and Eunbi had been classmates during their first year of high school. She recalls a particular moment when Eunbi gave her a lipstick. Eunbi mentioned that it was a designer item and said it would make her look prettier. However, she declined the offer and apologized, and Eunbi looked hurt by the rejection. That brief exchange was the only conversation they ever had back then. A few days later, as she was receiving her food in the cafeteria, the woman serving the meals told her to enjoy her food. She instantly recognized the woman as her mother. Though her mother didn't want others to know about their relationship, she didn't mind and called out to her, saying that she would see her later. Eunbi overheard that interaction. When it was her turn in line, she questioned why Jung-Ho's mother was serving food with sweaty hands and commented that she should change her gloves. Her mother apologized and agreed to change them, then attempted to serve her again. She explained that she hadn't wiped the sweat with her hands, but had used her sleeves instead. and apologized once more. However, Yoonbi hit the plate, causing the soup to spill. The supervisor came over and asked what had happened. One of her friends claimed that the woman had poured the soup on her after she made a complaint about hygiene. Her mother apologized and explained that it was a misunderstanding, but Yoonbi told her to apologize like an adult. Her mother bowed and did so. That incident led to her quitting her job at the cafeteria. Afterward, the girls in class gossiped about it. They said her mother used to take leftover side dishes home to feed her family, and they made fun of her because of it. Those memories flash through her mind as she stands there, talking to Eunbi. Still uncertain, she asks to confirm if Eunbi is really the manager. She affirms it and tells her to use the proper honorifics while at the company, then walks away without another word. Now seated at her desk, she feels anxious, knowing that both Jung Jihun and Eunbi are in the company. The thought weighs on her, and she concludes that this is yet another reason for her to quit the job. She contemplates whether to write her resignation letter right away or hold off for a little while. Not long after, she receives a call from Park. He asks if she can come over to the human resources team for a moment. She walks in and greets him with a hello. He then informs her that there has been a change in her salary. It has been raised, and he goes on to explain the details. Surprised and taken aback, Jung-Oh asks if she's supposed to sign, and as she does so, she admits to herself that maybe the company isn't so bad after all. Afterward, she's handed a personal information form to fill out. While going through it, she finds it rather cool that the form doesn't include any section for family relationship details. She's especially relieved because she doesn't want Jung Jihun to find out about her daughter. Walking out of the office, she reflects that this company isn't a bad place to begin her career. The location is convenient, and overall, things seem manageable, so she decides to stay for a few years, at least as long as she can avoid the two people she already knows. Just then, she spots the director standing outside with a woman and some children. Instinctively, she runs to hide. While doing so, she remembers the announcement made the previous day, that children from OO Nursery's daycare center would be visiting for an experiential program event, and employees were encouraged to be kind and accommodating to them. The woman expresses her gratitude to the director for the invitation, and he responds by saying he hopes it will be a meaningful and beneficial time for them. As a token of appreciation, the woman hands him a package containing cookies. She explains that the children spent time making the cookies themselves alongside a pastry chef. The director accepts the package and thanks her. The children then cheerfully say goodbye to him before heading upstairs with the woman. Once they are gone, the director, holding the package, looks at it briefly and then moves as if to throw it away. However, just before he can, Jung-Oh runs up to him and grabs his hand. She's stunned. She can't believe that her child's father is someone capable of doing something like this. In her confusion and disbelief, she asks him why. He holds her hand and then asks if they could have a chat. But before she can respond, Park suddenly yells upon seeing them. Alarmed, he demands to know what the director is doing. Then, realizing that the director is running late for work, he quickly grabs him by the hand and ushers him away in a rush. As they leave, Park tells her to excuse them and adds that he'll contact her shortly. Inside the elevator, Park exclaims that the director nearly gave him a heart attack back there. He then mutters that things could have gone badly if someone saw the director grabbing a female employee's hand like that. He refers to her as that woman, but Park quickly corrects him, telling him to address her formally. Walking back to her office, she feels a rush of bitterness. She tells herself that everything Jung Jihun had shown her back then was nothing but a lie. The more she thinks about it, the more it stings. Her phone rings. It's Park calling. He apologizes on behalf of the director for what happened earlier. She responds that it's fine, but deep down, she's disappointed that the apology didn't come directly from Jung Jihun. Park then shares that he's a friend of director Jung Jihun. They were classmates back in high school, and he was also his senior in the military. However, Jihun doesn't seem to remember. Park goes on to say that since he's a friend, he can offer him some advice, so he'll try to make him apologize properly. But she declines the offer, saying there's no need for that. He then encourages her to tell him if there's anything inconvenient or troubling, promising to do his best to help her. She thanks him politely. Once the call ends, she reflects on how uncomfortable everything feels, and she just wants to go home. However, Kai-hoon approaches and reminds her about the liquor meeting later at 10 o'clock. She confirms that she hasn't forgotten, and he walks away. As she sits there, she recalls that the meeting was said to be a collaboration with Yoonbi's team. During the meeting, the discussion centers around the product, which turns out to be a beer. Moran introduces Lee Jung-ho to the group. Just as Jung-ho begins to speak, Yoonbi abruptly cuts her off, remarking that she's alive and that she looks forward to working with her. Then Young Kwang suggests crafting a narrative around a bachelor, someone who somberly observes happy couples celebrating day in and day out. The idea is that this could highlight the emotions and setting of the campaign well. As they brainstorm further, someone comments that Team 2 might have an advantage in capturing that mood since everyone on the team is single. Ki-hoon quickly denies being single, and when the question comes to Jung-ho, she admits that she is. Yoonbi, with a smile, flashes her ring and says it's been a long time since she was last single. After the meeting ends, Jung-ho prepares to approach Miran for a quick conversation, but Yoonbi swiftly steps between them, starting a conversation of her own. While they talk, Miran casually asks when Yoonbi plans on getting married. She replies that it was originally planned for this year, but since her mom is currently busy, she's uncertain about the timing now. She then tells Miran to enjoy her lunch and walks away. Now standing with Jung-ho, Miran tells her that she saw everything that happened earlier. She also notes that she understands the cause of the tension. Jung-ho admits that she might have crossed a line, but she insists that what the director did wasn't right either. Miran calmly says she understands her point and proceeds to explain the director's situation. She shares that director Jung Jihun was involved in a hit-and-run accident and that the company tried to keep the matter under wraps. She also reveals that he lost 3 years' worth of memories as a result of the incident. According to her, he became a lot more conscious and careful after that, which explains why he trashed the cookies earlier. He wanted to avoid any potential risks, no matter how small. She then asks Miran if she knows exactly when the accident happened. Miran checks her phone, searches for the article, and then gives her the date. As she hears the date, she immediately notes in her thoughts that the accident occurred 7 years ago, on November 3rd, the exact same day he had promised to pick her up at 3 o'clock so they could go to the hospital together. That realization hits her hard. Observing her face closely, Moran senses something is wrong and asks if she's all right. However, she quickly says she's fine and then hurries away without offering further explanation. She rushes into the secretary's offices and asks her for the location of the director's office. The woman gives her the directions, and without wasting any more time, she heads over to the director's office. But before she gets there, she sees him from afar. As they come face to face, they both stare at each other in silence. He looks at her, puzzled, and wonders what's going on. She breaks the silence and asks if he knows who she is. His response is casual. He says she's an employee. Her expression shifts and she asks again, more directly, if he really doesn't remember her at all. Before he can respond, Yoonbi appears suddenly and cuts in. She wraps her hand around his and, calling him babe, asks what he's doing out there. Holding on to him affectionately, she looks over at Jung-ho and in a bright voice explains that she and Jung-ho are friends from high school. Then, turning to face Jung-ho directly, she tilts her head and asks if something is wrong. She tells Eunbi that it's nothing, and when Eunbi asks if she's going to get lunch, she nods and affirms that she is. Eunbi then says that when they're alone, she doesn't have to speak so formally. Then her tone shifts slightly as she asks if Jung-ho is trying to embarrass her on purpose. She immediately responds that she doesn't mean it that way, and without waiting for a reply, she turns and walks away. Once she's gone, Eunbi shifts her attention back to the director and asks what Jung-ho said to him. He doesn't respond right away, so she goes on to warn him to be careful around her. She claims that back in high school, Jung-ho used her makeup without permission and kept pretending she didn't. She adds that their friends noticed it even though she kept hiding it. But she states that Jung-ho probably fixed that bad habit by now. But even so, a little caution wouldn't hurt. He listens quietly, then says her name with a firm tone, and he warns her not to cross the line. After delivering those words, he walks away toward the bins, leaving her standing there alone. The truth is that the relationship between Eunbi and director Jung Jihun is not real. They're pretending to be in a relationship to avoid dealing with troublesome matters. It all started 4 years ago when rumors began to circulate among Yoonbi's acquaintances that she was dating the director. Rather than deny them, she used the situation to her advantage and proposed an idea to him. She asked him if they could pretend to be in a relationship. She told him that he must be tired of all the women constantly chasing after him. And besides, his mother had been actively searching for a marriage candidate for him. When she presented the idea, he told her to do as she pleased, not caring much about it either way. They happened to share similar interests, which made it easy for their arrangement to function. Because of that, their relationship has gone on without issue, at least until now. Eunbi admits to herself that his name has become a source of pride for her. She's been flaunting the relationship in front of her colleagues and others in the workplace. It's something she's enjoyed on her own, even though it's one-sided. When she found out he was going to be transferred to the Max Planning department, she was scared at first. But that fear didn't last long. Eventually, she was relieved. To her, he has always seemed indifferent. She even conducted a background check on him and found that his relationship history was unbelievably clean. The report stated that while he got along well with people, he had never been close to any woman. She wonders if he has mysophobia or some other aversion, but whatever the case, he's always been alone. That's why she believes she's the only one who can become his wife, because she's the only one who has stayed close. Meanwhile, Jung Jihun silently retrieves the package he had thrown in the bin earlier. He opens it and reads the kind and warm handwritten note inside. As he stares at it, he finds his thoughts drifting back to Lee Jung-ho. He recalls her expression and the question she had asked him earlier. He wonders why she asked such a thing. If it's because of what happened that morning. He asks himself if she's really that upset. If so, then he regrets not asking her what was wrong. Meanwhile, as Jung-ho steps out to get some coffee, she notes inwardly that her thoughts are starting to get jumbled. There's so much on her mind, and it feels like everything is mixing together. But as she returns to her desk and focuses on work, time seems to fly by before she realizes it. She makes a phone call to her mother to inform her that she'll be working overtime. During the call, after asking a few questions about her day, her mother casually mentions that a purple hairpin was found at the restaurant, one that she had been looking for about a year ago. Jung-ho responds that she had forgotten all about it. Her mother tells her that it's okay and encourages her to get back to work. After the call ends, Jung-ho sits quietly for a moment, letting the words sink in. She wonders bitterly if she really is worth no more than that hairpin to Jung Jihun. That same hairpin had once meant something to her, but it was lost without her even realizing it. She never went back to search for it, and at some point it became just another forgotten thing. Now she considers it part of a collection of useless memories. Things better left in the past, just like so many other pieces of her life. Back in the office, Eunbi approaches and asks Jung-ho if she's going to the meeting for the competitive PT. She confirms that she is, and Eunbi takes the opportunity to ask if she can take something to the meeting for her. She agrees to do so, but as she observes her closely, then she questions if she did something to make her uncomfortable. She replies with a calm, "No." She follows up, asking if maybe she gave her too much work or acted too demanding in some way. Again, she says no. With a pointed tone, Eunbi comments that getting too upset over trivial things can end up hurting others and spoiling the atmosphere. She tells her that it's fine. She'll take it to the meeting herself. As she turns to leave, she adds that she should try to calm down a bit. Jung-ho watches her go and wonders to herself what exactly is wrong with her and why everything is so frustrating and confusing at the moment. Meanwhile, Dobin and his mom are in the middle of a struggle at home. He refuses to brush his teeth. As soon as his dad enters, Dobin runs to him, clinging to his leg and pleading for help. His mom gives him a choice: either get a spanking or brush his teeth. Dobin dramatically chooses the spanking. Just as she moves to grab him, he takes off running. Park stands nearby, gently rocking his daughter in his arms, watching the scene unfold. Then, Dobin's mom threatens to tell Yena, Dobin's friend, about his refusal to brush. At the mention of her name, Dobbin quickly changes his mind and dashes off to brush his teeth, much to his father's surprise. Curious, the dad peeks into the bathroom and confirms their son is indeed brushing. He then asks who Yena is. His wife explains that Yena is Dobbin's friend from Baduk Academy. She describes the girl as pretty, gifted, and intelligent. Even the academic director had praised her. The dad, impressed, comments that she sounds like a remarkable child, and Dobbin's mom expresses hope that she and Dobbin grow close, and his husband agrees. Jung-Oh arrives at the venue and meets Eunbi, who immediately comments on her expression, saying it looks like she's chewing on something. Jung-Oh denies it, but Eunbi insists it still looks that way and suggests she adjust her face a little, reminding her that she hasn't done anything wrong to be in a higher position. Jung-Oh quietly wonders if she should feel lucky in some way, but concludes that Eunbi hasn't changed at all. She's still not a good person. Soon, someone explains the new technology designed to reduce video call delays, and Miran expresses her admiration for it. The director enters the room, gestures for the discussion to continue, then takes a seat beside Eunbi, directly across from Jung-Oh. Watching them, Jung-Oh wonders if they're really that close. She recalls how, 7 years ago, he was quite bold in that area, never held back regardless of place or setting. She questions whether there is a real difference between a few-month relationship and one that's lasted for years. Noticing his gaze on her again, she realizes he's been staring at her for a while. She can't understand why he's not paying attention to the meeting, why he's acting this way even with his girlfriend right there beside him. Afterward, Jung-Oh returns home and asks about her daughter. Grandma says the girl fell asleep while waiting for her. Dropping onto the sofa, she sighs, feeling as if she ages a year each time she goes to work. She jokes that if this continues, in 3 weeks she might catch up to her mother's age. Half serious, she wonders aloud if she should quit her job. Her mother immediately agrees and adds that she'll also quit working at the restaurant. She objects, suggesting instead that they both keep working there. Her mother points out that she can't even cook a decent meal, then asks if her job isn't good. She admits it is, but says she just wants to give it a try. Just then, her daughter walks into the room. Jung-Oh asks if she's awake and invites her to come sleep beside her. The kid questions why her mom came home so late, saying she had been waiting. She apologizes and promises to play with her a lot on the weekend. Her daughter then mentions that Park Dobbin keeps following her around and bothering her. Her mom asks if he taught her how to play Go Stones, but the girl replies that the teachers do that. Then she pulls her into a hug, quietly wishing that she too had someone like a teacher, someone who could give her the answers whenever problems came up. The next morning, the director walks into the office, mulling over his packed schedule full of meetings and events. It feels like there's been no time to rest. His secretary greets him and, when asked, says she'll report any messages right away. Then she informs him that Lee Jung-Oh came by around noon the previous day, mentioning that she seemed to be in a hurry. She asks if he spoke with her, and he instructs her to give her call. Meanwhile, at her desk, Ki-hoon points out a few mistakes in Jung-Ho's work. Embarrassed, she pleads with him to keep it between them and not tell anyone else. He replies that he'll think about it, and she tries to win him over by offering to buy him a meal. Just then, someone informs her that the director is calling for her. Surprised, she wonders what the reason might be. Inside his office, she greets him. There's a stillness in the air. His gaze traces invisible lines, his expression guarded, his voice holding a cautious tension. It's the kind of moment where something unspoken hovers between them, stirring curiosity in the silence. Jung-Oh acknowledges internally that what she feels isn't ordinary. But being drawn to him doesn't mean she should let herself be swept away. She tells herself she needs to understand it clearly before moving any further. The director gestures for her to take a seat. She wants him. There's no denying that. But not at the cost of losing herself. Pointing at the cookies, he tells her to take as many as she wants. She's startled that he picked them up. He casually asks if she doesn't want something that's already been picked up, and she says she doesn't mind. She then takes one. After a pause, he asks her to explain why she had been so desperate to find him the day before. The director tells her they should talk about it comfortably. She responds with a light excuse. that she only came looking for the cookies because she genuinely planned to eat them. She elaborates that she was going to suggest he give her anything he didn't want anymore. He finds that hard to believe, then points out that she cries yet doesn't speak her mind. She replies that her tears are just a personal matter. He asks if Director Park threatened her in any way, but she quickly declines and says Deputy Director Park actually seemed like a nice person. His response is silence. Inwardly, Jung-Ho's thoughts swirl. He's a man who never told her about his background. A man who forgot everything, who couldn't trust her, and who still doesn't know that she has a child. She wonders if he's simply cruel or just someone to pity. Her mind drifts back to that day, to their last conversation after the incident. She questions how he could have called her if he'd truly lost his memory. Was it really his voice on the phone? Doubt creeps in. Maybe he wasn't the one who called. Maybe someone else set everything up. If the call was fabricated, then maybe their breakup was never real, but engineered by someone else. She asks him directly if he's ever heard her name before. He counters by asking if she's ever appeared in a commercial popular enough to have her name on it. At that moment, she decides it's time. She'll reveal her identity and her daughter. Better he finds out now than after a wedding. So, looking at him steadily, she tells him that she has something to say. Meanwhile, Yena's teacher helps her down from the bus. A woman stands nearby, waiting. She greets the girl with a friendly smile. Yena immediately notices something's off. This isn't her teacher. But still, she politely waves goodbye to the one who dropped her off. The woman gently urges her to come along, saying they should get going. She asks where they're headed, and the woman replies it's the academy. But she frowns, pointing out that the academy is in the opposite direction. The woman insists she has been moved to a new academy. Unease creeps into Yena's eyes. As they walk a short distance, she abruptly pulls her hand away. With a firm voice, she announces that she'll call her mom. The woman's tone shifts. She questions why Yena isn't listening, then hastily tells her to follow quickly as she turns and walks off. But Yena stays put. Eventually, she hesitantly decides to follow, but by the time she looks around, the woman is nowhere to be found. At Prime Baduk Academy, the teacher is about to step out when Dobbin approaches her and asks if she's going to pick up Yena. She nods, and he quickly requests to go with her. They leave together. When they arrive at the usual stop, Dobbin looks around, then asks why Yena isn't coming. The teacher checks the time and notes that she should be there by now. Concerned, she pulls out her phone and calls Yena's mother to inform her that Yena hasn't arrived yet. Surprised, her mother replies that she heard her daughter had already gotten off the bus. But the teacher calmly insists she hasn't seen her. Yena's mother says she'll check again and call back. As the call ends, Dobbin turns to the teacher with wide eyes and asks quietly if Yena will come. Enjoying this recap so far? Comment Part 2 below. Until next time, ciao!